Hello and welcome back to Foos Entertainment. This time for my review of 2015's, actually no, take back, 2016's Captain America Civil War. And as you can see, this is the 3D version of the movie. And let's get right into it. Now, I haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, and if there was any movie that could beat this is the most dominating Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, it would be that one. But until I do watch that movie, I can't speculate. Currently, in my opinion, this is, out of all the films I've seen, the best one. Well, the 3D. Well, this may be the best Marvel movie in the direct cinematic universe. This is probably one of the most terrible 3D films I've ever seen. The most part of the movie is worthless when it comes to 3D. However, though, there is a really cool IMAX sequence when you have the battle between all the Avengers at the end of the movie in the famous airport fight sequence. That's an IMAX 3D, but that's the only part of the movie to where anything comes out the screen. Which is why I consider this the most dreadful 3D film of all time. Although it may not be, actually. I would say that might be Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. So I take it back, it may not be. But it's close. Alright. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that nothing really comes out the screen at all. So you're wearing these glasses throughout the entire movie, and nothing really comes out the screen until that IMAX sequence at the end of the film. And why that's annoying is we just came off of Guardians of the Galaxy 3D, and that film was spectacular in 3D. And The Avengers Age of Ultron was pretty good in 3D as well. And then we get to Captain America Civil War, one of the greatest movies ever made in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if not the best one out of all 24 movies. And the 3D is absolute garbage. I just find that funny. Alright. This kind of sets up the rest of the films in a lot of ways. Well, let's go into the plot of the movie. Move forward with this. Because of the events leading up to this movie, a lot of damage has been done in the interest of protecting the planet from harm. And of course, Captain America, as well as the new Avengers, including Scarlet Witch, as well as Falcon, track down the last Hydra Shield operative in an attempt to stop him from self-detonating with this nuclear bomb. Scarlet Witch goes ahead and froze the blast radius to where she thinks is safe, and on accident blows up an entire building full of people. Well, this reaches to the Pentagon, and the Avengers are forced by the government to sign a disclosure accords of sorts, surrendering their abilities to protect us from harm without oversight from the government. So pretty much give up their freedom and be treated like a service, and be locked up when they're not being used. So a controversial bureaucracy in a lot of ways. Well, Captain America wants nothing to do with it. He's just completely opposed to it, because he thinks that it doesn't make any sense. We're protecting humanity from harm, but yet they want to police us and lock us up when we're not working, and then use us the way that they think fits when we are saving the world. which kind of defeats the purpose of what we do. And of course, this all starts up because of General Ross, who now is in charge of oversight over at the Pentagon, as well as some woman who had to go to Tony Stark's seminars to raise funding for colleges, and then go ahead and cry in his face about how her son died in, collateral damage from the events of Avengers: Age of Ultron. And so all this kind of leads to them having to sign the Accords. And then a peace summit is held, and I'm not the biggest fan of Black Panther. I'll get to that with the next review, which that's after this. So I'll try to think about what the country is actually called. Wakanda? Yeah, well, the peace summit is held in the country of Wakanda. Or I say the kingdom of Wakanda. Where, of course, the original king is there to greet the Avengers. And he's actually a very peaceful person. He understands Steve Rogers, Captain America's reluctance to sign the Accords. But he's happy to have the heroes there to sign this peace treaty. And then a terrorist attack happens, and the king gets killed. And his son holds him in his arms when he's dying. And this was raises vengeance. Now, we always get what this guy's name is, so we'll just call him Black Panther. Because that's technically who this character is, the son of the king, of course. And Captain America discovers in the video aftermath that Bucky, Winter Soldier, his best friend, was there. And as we know from Captain America the Winter Soldier, Steve wants to find a way to, help his best friend, his lifelong friend. Because he doesn't feel justified hunting him down because, he was kidnapped, he was brainwashed, he was manipulated, mind-controlled, and pretty much put through a lot of hell over the past, 65 years. And, it's like, I can help him, but yet no one wants him to. And, basically, this is what starts the conflict. Because, Rogers escapes from, the Avengers facility and goes after, Bucky. To try to clear his name because he's not responsible for the death of the, King of Wakanda. Meanwhile, the government sends Iron Man, Tony Stark, after Captain America. And a revelation starts to come in play. There's actually some victim of the events of Age of Ultron. He was pulling strings. And is literally trying to play the Avengers against each other. All of them. Which leads up to the battle at the airport, where we pretty much have the Avengers split in half. Captain America, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Ant-Man versus Iron Man, Black Widow, Black Panther, Vision, and Spider-Man. Oh yeah, Spider-Man gets introduced in this movie. When all hell breaks loose, Cap's team goes ahead and recruits Ant-Man. And of course that is part of Ant-Man, which of course he had that cameo with Falcon and stuff. And of course Stark has been following Peter Parker in Brooklyn. Or to say that, take back, in Queens, in New York. And so he goes out to recruit Peter Parker. We have that big battle. Then the aftermath of that battle, all but Captain America and Winter Soldier get arrested and put in captivity from the government. Iron Man goes after Steve again. And this is where the revelation really comes into play. Although it was not Bucky's fault, the truth behind how Tony's mom and dad were murdered gets put full circle, and that makes a big feud between pretty much this. And this is pretty much what happened. While being manipulated and mind controlled by Hydra, Bucky is Winter Soldier, murdered Tony's mom and dad. And so that does not play well with Iron Man, because now he just wants to kill Winter Soldier. And so is Captain America trying to protect his best friend from his colleague, Iron Man. So it becomes a very, very strong conflict there. Some of the best fight sequences I've seen in these movies. There's even a lot of motion at the end. It's like when Captain America does finally defeat Iron Man, Iron Man's like, you have no right to have that shield. My dad made that shield. You put that down. You cannot have that. And there's a lot of motion there. Because what you have, and what's really cool about this movie is you can actually understand the conflict. I mean, when it comes to Tony Stark, your best friend killed my parents. And when it comes to Captain America, he's my friend. I've known him since I was a little kid. I'm not going to let you kill him. So that you can understand the conflict right there. And oh yeah, Black Panther, of course, has a vengeance vendetta against Winter Soldier because he believes Winter Soldier killed his father, which he later finds out did not. So then he actually helps Captain America and Winter Soldier at the end. And of course, this all leads to Captain America breaking out all of our friends out of captivity, leaving a little note to Tony Stark. If the world's in danger and you need us, call me. Now I'm going to stand for what is right. And that's basically what happens there. And of course, Bucky gets frozen into expanded animation again in Anaconda. And of course, the audio and video quality of the movie. The audio and video quality of this movie is very good. Minus the 3D. The 3D is garbage in this movie, but video and audio quality is very good in this movie. This one's not so warm and so dark looking like a lot of the films in this franchise. This one is more brightly lit compared to the previous films. But it still does have a lot of warm digital type of look at color temperatures and stuff in it, yes. Audio quality. The 7.1 DTS HD Master audio track on this movie actually is good. This is actually, I say, before Walt Disney started turning the dB levels down in post-production, making the sound less intense. So it's still quite intense in this movie. But it kind of goes back and forth, even today with the Marvel movies. It kind of goes back and forth. Not every one of them are like lacking in intensity, but then others are lacking in intensity. This one does not lack in intensity. It's very intense on the sound. And that's a good plus right there. Very well acted, very action-packed. This is probably my favorite one out of all of them. And that's a very hard thing to say because I like these movies. I've been having a lot of fun all month watching these movies, but this one is probably my favorite one out of all of them. Well, that's my views on Captain America Civil War from 2016. I hope you enjoyed. Now we'll see you next time for my review of Black Panther from 2018, I believe. I'll check it when I look at it. Until then.